Let's talk a little bit about my story. Well, I've had an interesting journey in my lifetime. It started with injuries when I was very young, about 4 years old, is what my mom tells me. I would complain that my wrist hurt, that this hurts, that hurts. And we would go to the doctor because she believed me that I was injured at that time. And like anyone, they would say I was being a baby. It was all in my head because every time we'd go to the doctor, there'd be no injury. There would be no broken bone. There would be nothing wrong that they could find from their diagnosis and their expertise. And, I decided that must be true. I decided it must be in my head. Like, I'm just being a baby. And I just pushed it down. I pushed it way, way down. And I did end up breaking a lot of bones and actually physically hurting myself growing up too. But I even had surgeries that didn't work in the way that they were supposed to. And that's when just you get used to pushing things down and you get used to things being there and being that way. And like I said, this has been going on since I was 4 years old. So I thought a lot of these symptoms were normal of constantly feeling tired, of being diagnosed with anxiety and ADD and all these things that they were diagnosing me with. I just figured, oh, it's just me. Like that everyone goes through this. It's a normal thing for everyone to go through. And this is how I found out. I was about 18 years old and I was talking with my therapist at the time. And I explained how sometimes it feels like my appendix is rupturing. And I just casually mentioned it, not thinking anything. And she began to ask me about the other symptoms I had because she explained that that was not normal whatsoever. Like people's appendix doesn't just feel like it was happening. I've never experienced that, but that's what I would imagine it would feel like. And she explained that it kind of sounded like fibromyalgia. And I've heard of fibromyalgia before. I never expected it as a possibility because I didn't know that much about it. I knew it was, like a nerve thing. I knew that in the commercials, they always showed older women in them. And I went home and I looked up every single symptom that I had that related to fibro. I had more than 4 pages worth, front and back, of symptoms that I had that were related to fibromyalgia that I found, related in some way. And I went to my doctor and I showed him, and he apologized. He did not think that that would happen to me. He was so sorry he didn't see that sooner. I was young and appeared healthy. It didn't come to mind. And we then had me tested for fibromyalgia. We ruled out everything else, and I was diagnosed with severe fibromyalgia. For me, it was a relief. I had spent so much time just thinking that it was all in my head. I was like, wow, this is what everyone feels. And I didn't realize that, wow, like this is a real thing. It's a real thing. I mean, I constantly felt like every day, like it's like someone's pushing you down from your shoulders and they're just like pushing you down, down, down. And that's how fibromyalgia feels. And I began searching for balance. I began to take it into my own hands and my own control to look for ways to heal myself. I started learning. I was always interested in the health world, but that really throttled me into what I wanted to do with my life. And when I chose my bachelor's degree and everything else, all the specialties I went into, a lot of that was fired and ignited off of my passion for feeling better. And once I realized that I could feel better, I was like, whoa, I want to help all of you feel better as well. I would look at every symptom, every part of my body, and see what I could do to help that area feel better. I began to break it down piece by piece. I began meditation for my mind, corrective exercise for my body, yoga for my whole being, and learning new things every step of the way until I was able to craft my whole own healing plan throughout the years.